sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Ready? Right.
And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Cariotti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. September 21st, 2021. September's going by quick. My hat feels a little crooked, but it's the angle of the camera is driving me nuts. I get a new camera on Friday. It'll be head on. It'll have the zoom. It'll be a little bit better. Anyway, yada. September's flying by.
Yeah. 21st, right?
The 21st. But hey, we are into football season full-fledged. My favorite time of year, my favorite season of the year, the fall is definitely the one I live for sports, for the different clothing you can wear, the different sports you can do, and it doesn't smell like melting dog poop all over the place, which is what spring brings. So for me, fall is it, and we are right in the midst of fall.
Yeah. Hockey, baseball, basketball, football, all coming up soon.
Everything. So we are going to make the intro quick. I do want to take a minute to send our sympathies to the GG community. So I was fortunate enough to play for a couple of years with the GGs. I have a fondness for that school and that organization. It allowed me to sort of find my love for football. But over this weekend, they had their first game against the University of Toronto. And unfortunately, after the game, one of their players, Francis Perron, passed away. He was 25 years old, a defensive lineman from Sherbrooke is where he grew up and where he's from, a leader on the team, a friend to many, a scholar athlete. The list goes on for the character attributes for this young man. And unfortunately, he passed away after the game. I was in touch with some of the people I know, the coaching staff and stuff, and players, and reaching out to them if I can provide anything. I know, it's a tough time, and we'll find out more as to reasons and cause of death. But our thoughts and prayers go out to the whole GG community and him and his family.
Yeah, I can't add too much more to that. That's a sad story. And, young man, eh? Anytime it's a young person of any football, basketball, or anything really, it's just sad to see. So,
yeah. Very. Moving on. This doesn't even sound right, but changing the topic to something a little bit more happy, I guess. Shout out to my nephew and Curtis, our fact checker's son, who scored his first touchdown last weekend in
Big Dog.
His very young football career, something that I never really had the chance to do. I did it in touch and flag and scored a bunch of touchdowns there, but never in a tackle football setting. Even though I played receiver, it was just we didn't have those opportunities, yada, yada. Anyway, it just never happened. So he's got a leg up on me already. Pounded the ball in. They smoked the Myers Riders this weekend. Hurt his shoulder a little bit, but they had a bye weekend. This one that just passed, and now they're getting ready to face the Nepean Eagles this weekend.
Did he run it in or catch it?
He ran it in. And I will get the video from Curtis because you can hear Curtis's cheer. And that will definitely be a soundbite that I'll have on this board that we can access in the future.
That's awesome.
Also, really quickly, this is, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but this is the inaugural Philemon Falcons football team. Now, it's a little hard to see on the screen right now, but if I was to zoom in on an individual,
I have a feeling you're gonna. There he is.
Yeah.
Look at
that handsome devil.
What a beauty.
Anyway, that's Papa Rob.
That's
way
Big
back
Rob
in the day with the meat chops there going.
Look at pork chops.
Hey, the styles were different back then. Anyway,
he looks great.
He found that picture and sent it off to Curtis and I was dying.
Very cool.
Okay, let's move on. We're getting into NFL week 2. Oh, I got it. Damn.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
waiting for Mike in the back. Mike's shout out to producer Mike. He's got baseball playoffs. So hopefully they do well. So best of wishes to the Dukes baseball team here in the Ottawa National Capital Baseball League, I think is what it's called. Anyway, Dukes, great group of guys. Anyway, Mike's playing tonight. So as we're waiting for the NFL team to come in, it's not him, it's me. I got to do it. Right on. Okay.
We recognized that pretty quickly, though. We made eye contact, and you cut that quick.
It was
awesome.
It felt like a lot longer.
Hey, speaking of awesome, it was a fun week in football. There were a couple of really wild games. Namely, I'll start with the Cards and Vikings. I thought the Vikings, after losing on the road to Cincinnati, came back and played really good football against a Cards team for their home opener. Ruckus crowd. They were a field goal away, and the guy just missed a chip shot, really. And that dates back to Gary Anderson missing the field goal when the Vikings were 15-1 with Randy Moss as a rookie. And then we saw Blair Walsh a few years ago, shank one. I think they're just snake bit, but the Minnesota was one of the teams I thought that would bounce back this year. They're 0-2, so there's trouble there. The Cards look good. Are you're not surprised with the Cards though, right? You have them as a team that's going to compete. Yeah,
I think. I mean, just on paper and the additions they have, and some of the talent.
AJ Green,
AJ Green, like we're talking about AJ Green as being a secondary receiver. I think we're getting into the Jays later, but I believe the game is on, and so my mug just went off. Hopefully, that's indicative.
That means they scored.
Lead up. That's correct.
Okay.
I think the Cardinals are. I think Kyler Murray is a guy who's going to take leaps and bounds this year, and in game 2, he really went out and showed what he can do. But he's got a good arsenal of weapons out there, and the fact that AJ Green is your secondary or maybe even third, depending on the formations you have, just goes to show what kind of talent they have. And I think, again, JJ Watt being older, that's fine, but I think he brings a new enthusiasm and a new renewed life to the Cardinals. And I don't know, I like them.
I agree.
I think it's good.
I agree. And I think if you're a Minnesota fan, and we have some Minnesota fans on our show page, you're 0-2, but thankfully in that division, I don't think anybody is 2-0. So it's early, hang in there. You look good against a tough Cards team. So that was a good game. The other really entertaining game, and I say entertaining, I think it went into overtime, was I thought the Titans and Seahawks really showed up, played really well. They finally fed the ball to Derrick Henry, and oh boy, did he run roughshod over everybody. That guy's a monster.
His second half was as good as anyone's.
Right?
He just really, you know what? I mean, this is a team that was down 14 points. When you're down 14 points
on the road,
on the road, but you got to throw the ball to catch up. Nope. You say, you know what? We're going to go back to what we're good at and really hammer it down. And that's what he did. He's just a man among boys. Like it's impressive.
Yeah, and Seattle, their front four didn't have any answers. And you could tell the Titans wanted to make a statement after a sort of a poor showing last week. They ran the ball really well. I think the Titans that's a good complete team. They're a little weak in the secondary, but again, that's a team that's 1-1. We were talked about last week about a handful of teams potentially going 0-2, the Bills and Miami. I thought that was an interesting game on paper. It turned out to be a real stinker. We got Tua down for the count with bruised ribs. I don't think anything broke any.
Oh, I don't think X-rays were negative.
Pretty impressive win for the Bills. 35-0 on the road again. That was a pretty impressive win.
Yeah. Hey, they needed to bounce back in a strong way, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, you know what, if you go down 0-2 and you lose to the Steelers game 1 and kind of like start feeling sorry for yourself, and then you go into Miami and lose there, this is a whole new season, and that would have been. I would have been right on board with you saying, you know what, like Josh Allen is not ready for that. And again, I still have my speculations on him and what it's going to be like. And I haven't quite gotten over that edge. But I mean, they came out and they played really well. And the Dolphins are not a bad team. You lose a guy like Tua, that's going to affect you regardless, from an offensive schematics, if nothing else. But again, they'll bounce back if he can come back. But they still beat a pretty good Dolphins team. So
yep, on the road, no less too.
Smoked them.
You know, we talked about, again, last week we talked a lot about NFL, but we talked about how I personally I don't invest a ton in week one. Like week one it's like an extension of preseason, right? Yeah, it really is. And the first team units haven't really played a lot together. Defense is one thing, but offensively, you know, you start to see the teams really ramp up around week 3. I'm still gonna categorize week 2 as this feel out process. So if you're a Miami fan, I wouldn't invest too much in that game. It was just a stinker against a tough Bills team that really had to win that game. I know it's early to say had to win, but I mean, they had to win. So that was a good game. Bills came out. You know, you mentioned Josh Allen still, proving himself. He made a couple of throws that worked out in their favor, but, you know, when they're playing a really good team, like he threw a couple of balls, opposite direction, fading away. Diggs was wide open, but I mean, those are passes that could get picked off against a really good secondary. So, you know,
I mean, he's done that even on last year, which was, his best season, and it paid off by 200 some million, whatever it happens to be. But
crazy,
he's still making those throws. That's just something they got to fix.
Well, time to talk about the Raiders and Steelers, and nobody picked the Raiders to win. I certainly didn't. I had the Steelers as my lock of the week, and I apologize. But some of that's on you. Yeah, I deserve it. You got to horn yourself too. Give yourself a no.
Oh,
wrong horn, man. Come on, the buzzer. But yes. I'm going to take the Steelers every week as a lock because that's just my team. I will be realistic. The Steelers were decimated. Prior to the game, they announced Joe Hayden couldn't play. They announced Devin Bush was out. TJ Watt pulled his groin in the first quarter. He didn't play the rest of the game. More interesting with the Steelers is their wide receiving core. They're way overrated. And I was saying that last year. They're overrated. Deontay Johnson doesn't finish his routes, but you know what he does? He makes 1 or 2 good plays a game to give everybody a sense of confidence that, hey, this is your number one guy, but he does too many things wrong more than he does right. And you look at their offense, they're supposed to be a skilled unit on the offensive end when it comes to their wide receivers, and they're really not. Chase Claypool is not polished at all. I don't think he handles those one-on-one, those 50-50 jump balls very well. I think he actually doesn't use his body well when he leaps for the ball. He gets himself out of control. I don't know what your thought on Claypool is when it comes to 50-50 balls, but am I just seeing things from tinted glasses here, or am I right?
Well, generally speaking, yes, you are, because that's what happens with a Steeler fan. But I mean, Claypool is just a little immature at this point. And
yes,
that's physically and mentally, where he needs to be. And I think he'll be fine. Honestly, I think he'll be fine. Not at this point. No. Does he have the potential to be a number 1? Yes. Receiving cores are also determined by the relationship and the quarterback you have at the helm who's going to be throwing the ball to you. Like, quarterbacks make or break receivers for a good chunk of it. We had that argument. Can you be a Hall of Fame receiver without having quarterbacks get you the ball? I think Megatron might be the only guy that, and even then, Stafford is proving to be somebody who, could very well, work his way in depending on how many years. But otherwise, you need guys to be able to feed you that ball. Otherwise, you're just a guy running routes. Well, I think he has the ability to be a number 1, but it's not going to be within the next year or 2.
I'd have to agree. And I think, Pittsburgh, I mean, Ben's arm looks fine. He was putting the ball where it had to be. Johnson led the league in drops last year. Ebron led the league in drops for a tight end. He dropped one early in the game. I don't think he saw another pass. So they're at their wits' end, I think, with Ebron, and they're going to be at their wits' end with Deontay Johnson very soon. I got to give Juju a little bit of credit. He's the prototype slot receiver. I mean, I think he had 7 or 8 catches for, not a lot of yardage, but tough catches up the middle. He doesn't short arm anything. And I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap because of his TikTok crap and all that. And I don't like it myself either, but that's just him. But their receiving core is super overrated. And I think that's going to be their Achilles heel, as crazy as that sounds offensively. I think it's going to be that causes them to not take that next step with Big Ben. And you know what? This could be a 500 team for Big Ben's last year, and that's coming from a Steeler fan. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope he certainly deserves a better finish. But
what this is right now for everybody listening, this is Pierre doing the reverse Pierre jinx on his own team. Okay, there is zero chance that he actually believes that the Steelers are going to go a 500 team. He is saying this because he wants to reverse jinx it, because he's got the finger that turns everything.
It's crazy, people. Anyway, it's so bizarre. But
Ben Roethlisberger's got a pectoral issue too, eh? So we got to watch that.
I just saw that.
That's going to be tough for throwing if that happens to be on that side.
Let's give a little love to the Raiders, though. I mean, Carr had a really great game. I don't care who's out there. It's next man up, right? I don't care. There's no excuses for Pittsburgh. Everybody was it's next man up. But Carr had a great game. I think he threw for 380 yards. Henry Ruggs had a great
Henry Ruggs had a great game.
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs, that's where Henry Ruggs was expected to fit in when he first did. That's why they drafted him, because he's a speedster.
Little play action.
And now if he's getting a bit of rapport and he's stretching the defense and he's able to come down with these balls, like, he's going to be dangerous.
That team, I didn't realize. I mean, we know about Waller. I really like Renfrow a lot. I think he's a good receiver, and they have also their second tight end, Moreau. It's a French, Moreau. Okay. He's super talented. He made a couple of great catches. He's a good blocker, big guy. I mean, they got some pieces, man. That's a team that's going to be, when Josh Jacobs comes back healthy. That's a team, man. They're 2-0 for a reason.
I want to find out whatever happened with the Raiders. They did they submitted a complaint to the league with video on the abuse that Hunter Renfrow was taking on every play. And if you see some of the video, I saw one play that they had, one of the clips, and he went up, did like an out, and he kind of like lazy up because the play was already on the other side. It was over.
He
and
took a shot.
The Ravens destroyed him. The guy came over and just like pummeled him into the ground right in front of the Ravens bench. No call, nothing. And if that was multiple times throughout the game, like, there's no need for that. And I hope that there's some sort of disciplinary action that comes down for it, because, I mean, that's just picking on a little white receiver is what they're trying to do. But
well, hey, if you are a Raiders fan, you just went in and beat the North's best teams. No offense to the Browns, but it's been the Ravens and the Steelers for the last decade, for the last 20 years. You just came in and you beat the Steelers on the road after beating the Ravens in that slobber knocker. That's a pretty impressive. Broncos 2-0. Teddy Two Gloves. Who was calling them Teddy Two Gloves? Oh, these guys on TSN. And I'm not. We're on live radio, so I'm not going to disrespect any of our peers, I guess we can call them.
Sure. They don't call them peers. Whatever. Hey, but I got headphones and a mic. We're peers.
However, it was Davis Sanchez, or no, Jabari Greer was calling them Teddy Two Gloves because he wears the two gloves to play quarterback. But he's putting up big numbers. He's controlling the offense. They already had the pieces. They have the talent all over the field in Denver. They just didn't have the QB the last couple of years, and they lost a lot of close games. They're 2-0 now. Now, mind you, they've beaten Jacksonville and the Giants. 2-0 is 2-0. And in that division now, they are 2-0 with the Raiders, while the Chiefs and the Chargers sit at 1-1. That's going to be a tough division.
Well, it's going to be tougher than we expected it to be. I was trying to find out. Did Bridgewater get hurt? No, eh?
Nope.
Okay.
No, Tyrod Taylor got hurt.
Oh, yeah. Tyrod.
But Broncos are impressive. They run the ball well, right? And they have some receivers now, and they got a good tight end and an offensive line.
And Judy's still hurt. Jerry Judy's still off on the shelf. So when he comes back,
without Judy.
They're doing it with Judy. That's Cortland Sutton has picked up a bit of the slack, but you get now Sutton and Judy with Melvin Gordon in the backfield, who seems to be, got a bit of a
refreshed
spunk in his step there.
Yeah, sure.
Hey.
And no offense, a good tight end. It's a
very
good team there. It's a good team. We'll see what happens. They got Bradley Chubb coming back. Supposed to come back at some point this season. We'll see when he does, but that's going to help Von Miller and the rest of that defense. So good for the Broncos. I watched Atlanta beat themselves on Sunday. And I know they were playing Tampa, and Tampa should win, and Tampa's a better team, but Atlanta just beat themselves. They literally are like in their own mind. It's over. Matt Ryan has to go, retired. They have to change the team logo. They have to change it. They're cursed. It was 28-25. It should have been 28-25 for Atlanta. They turn the ball over like crazy. I think he threw 3 pick sixes, 2 to the same guy. So they're in their own head. The game ended up finishing like 48-20 something. It wasn't very close. What's up with Atlanta? Are they that bad?
Yeah, I think they are.
Ridley's a good receiver. They've got some talent.
Ridley's a good receiver.
Pitts.
Pitts is in there now. Gage was supposed to be the up and comer within the receiving core. You lose Julio Jones. That's a big piece of your pie right away. So having a guy like Julio out there makes everybody else's life easier. He's not there anymore. Is Ridley the number one guy? Is he big enough? And, can he make those plays? Doesn't seem to be. Is Matt Ryan, I don't know, too picky on where he's throwing, or is he not getting the protection? I don't know.
Yes,
everything you just said about watching Atlanta beat themselves. Yeah, we all did. Hundreds of millions of people did that 2 years ago, whatever it was in the Super Bowl. Like, it was the most painful thing ever. That just seems to be
really
what.
Was.
Anyway.
It really was. I thought, the uniform change and maybe, after Dan Quinn left, new face, new philosophy. No, they've actually gotten worse. And there's talent there. So, again, another team that it's not like we're dealing with the Jets here. There's talent in Atlanta. They just can't put it together. And I would have to highlight their offensive line. They had so many miscues. Guys were coming free shot at Ryan, and he had to force a couple of passes, which led to the pick sixes. So, how many times have you and I said it all starts up front? And if you don't have an offensive line,
up front.
Let's talk about it. My next game was the Bears and Bengals. The Bears defense just overwhelmed Joe Burrow. He made him look very pedestrian, and the Bears beat the Bengals. And the Bengals coming off a big win against Minnesota, their chance to go 2-0 in that really tough AFC North. And no offensive line play equals what we see. The Bears hung in. It was 17-14, 17-17. Next thing you know, boom, you win the game 20-17 with your backup QB. Is there a chance? Is there a chance Fields plays this week if Dalton's healthy?
If Dalton's healthy, no. The coach already went into the locker room and made it clear Dalton is our starting quarterback when he's healthy. Now, the problem is he going to be healthy? There may be a lot of people in the locker room hoping he's not. Take another week, bud. Let's see what happens.
I think it was a bit of a situation where, Dalton wanted to maybe stick it to his old team, and he came out firing. He came out playing. He played really well. But so did Fields, and they love Fields, eh? The word out of Chicago is they absolutely love this kid. So
Fields was 6 for 13 for 60 yards, an interception, sacked twice. Dalton 9 for 11, 56, one passing touchdown. They weren't super impressive. Fields ran 10 times for 31. You know what I mean? That's where I see him.
Added element.
Yeah, exactly. Bringing that extra element to it. That's where his game's going to be. Not straight Lamar Jackson, but he has that ability to really move the chains with his feet.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked him up in our Dynasty League and sat him in my taxi squad for a year or two while he develops. But I think he has the potential of bringing, that kind of hard nose, the Jim McMahon sort of quarterback back to the Bears. A guy who, shouldn't get injured very often. It feels like he plays through injuries. I've seen him do that in bowl games and during the playoffs and stuff too, where he's taken monster shots and probably should, for all intents and purposes, be gone from the game, but he plays through it and played very well. And I think that sort of character in him is going to win over a lot of fans of the Bears.
Yeah, and the Bears have been just desperate for a signal caller to just call their own and roll with. Jay Cutler was the one guy, and then they bring in Trubisky. That didn't work out. So this next game, Brock, the Carolina Panthers are 2-0, and they look pretty good doing it as well. And your boy Sam Darnold looks like he's refreshed. You called it. You said, "Hey, new scenery for this kid." You're playing for a bad organization in New York. It didn't work out. Is it the kid or is it the organization? And after 2 games, looks like the kid's all right. And looks like the organization failed him in New York. Did you watch any of that game or did you see any of the highlights? And are you surprised by Darnold's success?
I didn't watch the game. I only saw brief highlights. So nothing major. It wasn't a game that stood out that I needed to go watch the highlights either. But no, I'm not surprised with Darnold. Darnold, at USC had really good like ability, just raw ability, great arm strength. He was making good reads. Like, he was coming out of college, was a good quarterback. New York sucks the life right out of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't understand, go watch the highlights of their game this week and look at Zach Wilson on the bench. You could see his soul leaving his body. So he's going to go through a lot of the same stuff. He's got a lot of ability, but I think New York's going to suck that out of him. And that's what happened with Darnold. Now he's got a refresh spot. You're in Carolina. The weather's a little bit nicer. You got some actual weapons. You have an organization that has had some success over the last little while.
They're always competitive.
Always.
The record doesn't indicate it always sometimes, but they're always in games. They never get blown out. They play good, solid defense, and they know what they're doing over there.
They have one of the best players in the league in Christian McCaffrey, and you say, okay, let's see what happens. And he's putting the ball where he needs to be. I mean, he went 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Like, Darnold doesn't do that in New York.
No,
nobody does it in New York. Let's be honest.
I'd even have to differentiate, like, New York Jets specifically. I mean, like, the Giants have had on and off success over the years. I think that's a little bit more of a stable organization. It's got more of a longer history of success. Sorry, Jets fans, but I'm not dating you back to Joe Namath to look for success. You've been 30 years of misery. There was a couple of years with Parcells there and Testaverde, but I mean, really, apart from that, it's been a long, long time since the Jets have been any kind of good.
So who's the Giant fan that just came to your mind where I was saying New York? You're like, somebody's going to be pissed. So I better make
There's
sure
a lot
that
of
they
Giants
know
guys, right?
Jets.
Johnny
Okay.
Rinn, Narissa, my buddy Glenn Brown. There's a lot of Giants fans, more than I thought. But just shout out to them. They're hanging tough. I used to be a Giants fan as a kid. I used to love Taylor and Sims and the way they played football and Parcells. And anyway, let's move on to the Jets, who I thought this was a trap game for New England. I thought, okay, they're going to come in. New England's coming off a loss. The Jets are at home. They really have nothing to lose. No one expects them to win. They look Belichick was Belichick, man. He just threw every kind of look at poor Zach Wilson. And my God, what a terrible. He had 4 interceptions. He didn't look any kind of anything. I mean, they asked him after the game, were you seeing ghosts? And he said no. Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were just throwing the ball up to Nowheresville and hoping for something. We got a comment?
We got a comment. It said GG's and Expo hats just got a chubby. No name associated with it. I think we can figure out maybe who that might have been, but
take a wild guess. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank, but Expo's cap, there's a reason I'm wearing this. This is to jinx the Tampa Bay Rays tonight, only because they might move here one day to Montreal. Okay. I'm wearing this because we got to put a hex. Toronto has a hard time beating Tampa in Tampa. So I'm pulling out all the stops tonight. Yeah.
Well, I'm wearing the GG one for obvious reasons. If you turn to the beginning of the show.
No doubt. So Zach Wilson, are you surprised by how awful he's looked?
No. No. The New York Jets will make it clear. I just don't think they're an organization that is ready to bring in a talent like Zach Wilson and foster him the way he needs to be fostered and work him into it. The Jets always feel to me like the Sens did when they brought in Alexandre Daigle. And you're like, okay, this kid has a lot of talent, but he was just in a situation that he could not win. And he wasn't able to be groomed properly and all that kind of stuff, where I think if he had gone to a better organization, a more secure organization where he wasn't leaned on to save the franchise, I think he probably has a longer career, a very successful one, and flourishes. And I feel the Jets are in that situation right now, and they just don't bring enough to the table for people who are getting drafted and have a lot of talent to go there and really show what they can do.
Yeah. I'm not ready to anoint like Mac Jones is the best QB out of this class. I know that I've been reading some articles about, should have been Mac Jones gone number 1 or number 2, and Zach Wilson should have been the 6th quarterback picked or something crazy. I'm not ready to go there yet, but I'm going to give him a couple more weeks to see what he could do, see if he can show some improvement. But it's going to be tough in New York.
You know who's not saying that Mac Jones should have went 1st or 2nd? Mac Jones. He is perfectly happy being at 15 with the New England Patriots And
The
that
winning
system
organization.
and that coach, he's going to a system that will make him successful.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yep.
You go to the Jets to try and save a franchise. You go to those kind of franchises like the Patriots, and you become one of them. Like anyway,
They
he's going to
will.
be great.
The Patriots will get better. And if they're in a like a 6-2, 7-3 type of record by midseason, they're not shy to go and bring in somebody. And if you look at their roster, maybe wide receiver seems to be the one spot where they could probably improve. They'll go out and get somebody. They'll get somebody disgruntled from another team, or they'll pick up somebody off the. That's what they do. So we'll see what happens there. San Francisco 49ers, they're 2-0. They beat the Eagles on the road. Impressive win, if you ask me. I mean, Philadelphia played well week 1 against Atlanta, of course. But, the Niners, this is a team that a lot of people were picking to return to the Super Bowl preseason. Looked pretty good. Run the ball well. Played really good defense. It was 17-11 was the final score. So it was a defensive game. The week prior, they put up 40. So they're showing you they could beat you in different ways. I like them. I like the Niners.
A lot of injuries there. I just don't know how that's going to play out in the long run.
Sure.
Like these tight games like that, their defense is good, but if they get teams that can put up, 21, 28 points on them, are they built to sort of come back there? They're built for let's establish a run. We're going to control the game tempo. Yeah. We got multiple running backs that are going to come in, so it's always going to be fresh. Our O-line's really good. Our defense is pretty good. But now we have 2-3 of our starting running backs. Our stable is hurt. Some of them are out for the year with Mostert and stuff. What's that going to be? And then is there, they lose a couple. Is there going to be pressure now? Is it going to be Garoppolo's team, or should they flip to Trey Lance? Yada, yada. Like, I don't know. There's a long season to go. This is a great win in Philly. Yep. I think Philly's a pretty decent team as well. But, time will tell from an injury standpoint with the Niners.
Yeah, and again, take what I say with a grain of salt. It's only week 2, so my enthusiasm for any team is just really based on what I've seen. But it's early. The Rams beat the Colts. They're 2-0 now. Impressive win on the road in Indy. Indy's in trouble, man. Carson Wentz sprained both his ankles. It's crazy. That poor guy is just injury stricken. So the Colts are in trouble at the QB position. Rams, you called it. I mean, this is Stafford's opportunity to show what he can do, and he's showing him. I got a little talent. Look what I can do.
You got a lot of talent there.
Yeah.
278, pretty good. He loves Cooper Kupp.
That's
surprise
a good
there.
Defense in Indy. You putting up 278 on a good defense.
Very good defense. On the AFC, they're right up there, top 5 probably.
Yep. Fast. They make plays.
Yeah, he's spreading the ball around too. I mean, Kupp is one of those guys that he just goes to. So he had 9. But other than that, I mean, even from running, they had some injuries on the running backs too, right? So Cam Akers right away in the beginning of the season was out, and he was a stud.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, Henderson, they picked up Sony Michel, and then they're running with a couple other guys where they're giving the ball to Robert Woods and stuff like that. But this is a potent offense that can move the ball. And I'm really happy to see Stafford get into a situation like that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And what I like about the Rams is that if they can run the ball, get 50 to 75 yards on any amount of carries, if they can get between 50 and 75 yards a game, that'll do just enough to keep the defenses honest and to open up for those receivers. And I think, again, I can just scale it back to what Pittsburgh doesn't do is Najee Harris only had 33 yards on the ground. It's not enough to keep the defenses honest. And these teams are fading back on these passing plays. I think the Rams are doing it right. And it's a good little team there, and they're well coached.
No, 33 yards for Najee Harris is not enough. For my fantasy league, let's go.
He did have a hell of a stiff arm, though. I'm not sure if you saw that one on Abrams, the Raiders safety. Did you see that stiff arm?
I don't think I did, but if he stiff-armed Abrams, that's a pretty decent.
Yeah.
Maybe I did actually.
It was a lot like what Derrick Henry did. It would or what Marshawn Lynch did too. Just pushed the guy right to the ground. Anyway,
no, it's Derrick Henry. It's the one where it was what was the safety for the Ravens? I think it was.
Yeah. That's what Najee did.
where he was talking all the smack, like everybody wants to tackle him. I'm not afraid. And then he stiff armed him so hard that he turned into a lead blocker.
Oh yeah, he held him just to push him around.
And it's just like he just got flipped around. And he took his own player out. Anyway,
I love big backs. It's great. Cowboys Chargers. That was a good game. I thought it was entertaining. It was a little score. It was penalty filled and a lot of mistakes, a lot of interceptions. But Cowboys on the road beat a good Chargers team. That's a good win for them.
It was the most entertaining game of the weekend for me.
Greg the Leg kicked a 56-yarder to win it or something like that after having a tough week the week before. So happy for Greg Zuerlein, good kicker for the Cowboys, and congratulations, Scotty. I am not a Cowboys fan, but I'm happy for Scott and the Cat.
I'm happy for my brother. Curtis had a big bet on
there you go.
And he was if he had to get through the Cowboys just to get it, and then he had the offer of whatever, $700-800 or something. So good for him. Makes it interesting.
Pack beat the Lions last night. Nah, it was Lions were up 17-14 and a half, and then didn't score another point the rest of the game. It's 35-17 final score. Just Lions just doing Lions things, man. There's some talent there, but they don't have enough on the defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super impressed with Green Bay either. Like I kind of thought that they were going to come out and really, turn it on and put a big aerial show out there. And that first half was a little bit iffy. They got, a couple of timely stops, an interception that was, questionable throw by Goff that allowed them to cover the spread. I bet on them. So I was, are they going to cover 11.5? And I think they're lucky to have walked out of there covering that spread.
Yeah.
I think Detroit is still not too bad. Like I think they're pretty close. Their offensive line, like, man, I was watching Sewell a lot, and the kid's 20 years old and he's phenomenal. And by phenomenal, I mean, like, yes, there are areas in his game he's got to change. Not change, but improve. But he's 20.
Yeah.
Again, it blows my mind. And he's going against the Smith brothers or whatever it is. And you know what I mean? Those ends that are paid $60 million. And he's going to be really, really good. I think their offensive line is going to be one of the best offensive lines. So I think they're finally going to start to figure out a run game soon.
Yep.
But I don't know. I like the way they're going. I like Goff's attitude to being in Detroit. So
I'm a big fan of Goff. I thought Goff got a bad rap out of this deal, and he's coming to a team that's not as talented. And we'll see what happens. I'm not sold on the Lions back end, but I do like what you said about their offensive line. Packers, I mean, they just committed to the run. I think that was the biggest difference they made this week is they just ran the ball, committed to the run early with Aaron Jones, and he looked good.
Yeah, and really good. Just an update, they found his necklace.
I saw that.
Lost a necklace with his father's ashes in it that fell out in the end zone, I guess, and has been found and returned or whatever. So
Browns and Texans, it was kind of a slow-moving game. I mean, it was at one point the Texans were up, and I'm like, oh, this is, Tyrod Taylor got hurt, and the Browns ended up winning 31-21. I don't know how impressive that is, but there was one play in that game that I just want to mention. I posted on our show page. So Texans, it's 3rd and 15. The Texans it was a slant pattern. I think Brandon Cooks caught it, gained 13 yards. So it's 4th and 2. Browns jump off sides. So Texans have a choice. They can either go 4th and 2, midfield at 7-7 at this point, or have another chance at 3rd and 10 instead of 3rd and 15. Their coach, David Culley, declines the penalty, so it's 4th and 2. You automatically assume at 4th and 2 he wants to go for it then. They're close to midfield. Sends the punt team out. And
makes sense.
Post game, they asked him about it. Clearly, Kevin Stefanski was like, "What is going on here?" And he kind of fumbled his answer. And he was trying to go in the direction of like, "Well, we just wanted to change field position. We wanted to play the field position game, and we wanted to punt it, pin him deep, and hold him, and we didn't hold them. Why wouldn't you go for it on 3rd and 10? Why wouldn't you give your offense another chance?" At 3rd and 10, 4th and 2. Okay, I get you want to punt 4th and 2. That's a tough Browns defense. I get that, but you have a chance to go 3rd and 10 instead of 4th and 2. Like, what is that? Just a brain fart? It's just a mid game. I just lost track of time and everything. Is that what he did?
What he did was actually it was his way of epitomizing this team. in one play. Say, this is what our season is going to be like, and we're going to decline another opportunity, and we're just going to punt. I don't want nothing to do with this ball. We're punting it.
They're 1-0, and it's 7-7. Like, just anyway, that's the craziest thing I've seen in football in a long time when it comes to making bad calls as a coach. I saw Mike Tomlin's made a couple of questionable punt calls when they've had momentum, but this one just doesn't make any sense to me. But
he made a couple of questionable calls just standing on the field when guys are running the thing back too. Let's be honest. Anyway.
Hey, he missed the tackle, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're gonna trip somebody, trip him. Baltimore, speaking of the team that he almost tripped, Baltimore beat KC. That was a good game. That was a fun game to watch.
That was a good game. I wish I had stayed up for the whole thing. But man,
Lamar Jackson, baby.
I was listening to people before on the fantasy radio stuff in the car, and they were talking about the spread 3.5 for KC. And one guy's like, I kind of like Baltimore. And the other guy's like, you're an idiot. Like, there's no way this happens. I think it's just lights out Kansas City. And the Ravens did it. And kudos to Lamar Jackson and those guys too. And again, they're dealing with a lot of injuries. These are, teams that don't have any backs because they're hurt. They're shelved for the year. So, hey, that's it's not just going to be an easy walkthrough for KC for this year. And kudos to them for winning. That being said, KC is going to destroy them next time they play, I think.
Oh, yeah. Kudos to just hanging in there with your QB. I mean, he threw a pick six on his first pass of the game to Tyrann Mathieu, and then he threw another interception to Mathieu later in the quarter or in the half. I mean, you could get down on your quarterback. You could not support him. Baltimore doesn't do that. They support Lamar Jackson fully, and they continue with the style of play that's gotten him so much success. So I got to give Baltimore a little bit of credit. And they're my least favorite team in all of pro sports, but you got to give credit where credit's due. They hang tough with Lamar Jackson, even when he makes mistakes. And you could see that it builds a little bit more confidence each time. He's still a young guy,
I feel like I need to get the New Kids on the Block hanging tough soundtrack when he keeps saying hang tough. He's hanging tough.
Yeah, hanging tough. He is hanging tough.
Who's their backup quarterback?
It was RG3 last year. I think he's no longer there. I think he's in the booth now. I don't know who they got. I do remember they picking up another similar type of RPO quarterback as a backup. You fact checking that?
I'm going to try and fact check while managing this at the same time. Anyway.
Okay. Well,
keep going.
That's actually it for our NFL roundup for week 2. It was an interesting week 2. I'm not going to say all the results in week 2 are indicative of every team's what to expect for every team, but we're starting to see some of the good teams or the good players step up their game and show why those teams were playoff teams last year. So it's going to be interesting. Week 3, we got some good matchups. Do you have week 3 handy?
I do, yeah. And just to clarify, Tyler Huntley out of Utah, it's his first season, is the backup quarterback, which is also why the Ravens are hanging tough with Lamar Jackson, because you're not throwing that guy in to this. But yes, I have week 3 handy.
What do we got here for week 3?
Thursday night starts with Carolina and Houston.
Oh, gee.
And actually, Houston has decided they've already did the coin flip, and they said, "Forget it. You can have the ball both halves."
Houston's just hell bent on trying to lose. They're not even sniffing Watson. They're going to start their backup, who's a rookie. His last name is Mills. I can't for the life of me remember. Travis Mills, maybe. I can't remember his first name, but he will be starting instead of Deshaun Watson, who clearly is not going to suit up again ever for the Houston Texans. Do teams start making calls? Hello, I'm looking at you, Miami. Do you start making a call for this guy?
You have to. I mean, well, actually, no.
What's the wait right now?
Make the phone call, but Houston, like I said, if it's the whole organization of what is summed up in this one friggin' play, then they're not going to trade Deshaun Watson until he he got injured making pizzas at home, and he's going for an ACL. So we're going to trade him for a couple of balls and a kicking tee kind of thing. That's what Houston's holding out for.
I think so. I think you're right. Brock, before we quickly go over the games, I do want to make one NFL proposition. Here's an idea that I was just thinking about on the weekend, because we all know that if a team is winning with under 2 minutes left and you don't have all your timeouts, you're pretty much done, right? NFL, you're done. And the onside kick percentages are like next to zero now. How about this? Each team gets 3 timeouts per half, right? Nothing changes there. If you don't use any of your timeouts, they carry over. The carryover timeouts from the first half are just,
so instead of 3.5, you get 6 a game.
No, it's still 3.5, and you could use your 3. But if you don't, the 3 that'll carry over, let's say you keep all 3, you don't use any in the first half, they're just short 10-second timeouts, just used to stop the clock. So that way the game still flows, like you're not going to commercial every time there's a timeout. But specifically those first half timeouts are just to stop the clock. That way, if you're ending the half in the first half and you have your timeouts and you're like, well, is it really that important to score, or do I want to keep these for there's some strategy involved, right? So it also might prolong a team's, competitiveness in a game. I just hate to see the timeouts basically dictate the last 2.5, 3 minutes. Is that something that would be viable? Could that work?
Is that something you'd be interested in? It's that guy from Entourage.
My old sales pitch.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Anything that can keep the game moving while keeping it entertaining till the end. So, maybe it's, why do you need 40 seconds? If they can do it in the CFL and run off from, a wider field and do it in 25 seconds or whatever, why not bring the play clock down a bit?
Yes.
Why not have, you can't walk off the field at zeros. There's got to be one more snap. Why not? Even college has the clock stops when there's a first down. So if they say they're trying to come back, this team's trying to come back, you get a first down, the clock stops momentarily while the ref has to place the ball and everybody gets set. Mm-hmm. So there's a bit of a break there. All these different things makes the last 3 minutes exciting or interesting to watch. Otherwise, you get an interception with 3.5 minutes left and they can take whatever. Three downs is 40 seconds a down. It's toast.
Yeah, something's got to give there. And even the fourth quarter, it's running clock. I saw a guy go out of bounds and the clock kept running. I'm like, hey, wait a second. I think it only stops after a certain point in the fourth quarter. I'm like, hey, what happened to, if you run out of bounds? I know I think it was like 8 or 9 minutes left. The clock kept going. Is it run clock in the NFL? Like I get they're trying to make the games faster. I get it, but they don't have to. I mean, all eyes are glued on the TV. We can't get enough of these games on Sundays. Why would you want to make the game shorter? We're like, it's not baseball. We love football. Is it player safety? You trim off a half an hour so someone doesn't get hurt? Like, what are we talking about here?
I don't know. People probably want to get paid more.
Yeah.
I'm playing more plays, Really, just look at the math and how much. Anyway, yada yada. You say that we're glued to the TV. Atlanta plays the Giants this weekend. Will not be glued to that television.
You know what? Let's rapid fire these games here. We'll make the picks. Go ahead.
All right, you're breaking up a bit, so let's make sure that we're good here.
Sorry, how am I doing?
Not bad.
Am I there? Okay.
Audio's good. Your little video, whatever. Okay, so whatever. Do I even have to ask Carolina, Houston? I think Houston actually just forfeited. So whatever. That one's
Carolina.
That one's done. Baltimore, Detroit.
Oh, I'm gonna go
Detroit.
In Detroit, I'm gonna go Baltimore.
I'll take the Lions in that one. I feel like it might be a trap game for the Ravens. They just came off a big one. Lions just lost one to the Pack that they probably feel like they didn't play as well in the second half. Anyway, Atlanta at New York. You can't say I don't care.
I'm going to go Giants.
Saints at Patriots.
Patriots. I think Jameis Winston gets really confused with that defense.
Really? Yeah. I thought maybe if he's juggling and reading playing cards at the same time, it'd be all right. Anyway, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh.
I think that's my lock of the week.
Indy at Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I think they're gonna, after that last week, they're really gonna open things up a bit.
Quarterback for Indy.
Exactly. The Washington football team at the Buffalo Bills.
I think Buffalo's going to win. I think Washington will keep this game a little closer than everyone thinks, but I think that Buffalo ultimately wins this game.
The spread's 8.5. Does Washington cover?
No.
Okay. The Chargers at the Chiefs.
Chiefs. They're going to be pissed.
They should be pissed, yeah. And the Chargers just lost to the Cowboys. Not great.
Yeah.
The Arizona Cardinals at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. The Bears at the Browns.
You know what? The Bears just don't have enough offense to keep up with the Browns' offense. I think the Browns put up some points on the Bears. I like the Browns at home.
If the Browns play like they did last week, the Bears win. Jets at the Broncos.
The Broncos are going to be 3-0, man, and people better start waking up. That's a good team.
Miami Dolphins at the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think Raiders go 3-0. I think they're going to be angry about what happened last year in Las Vegas when Miami came back and won that crazy game. I think there was like only a few seconds left, and it was a crazy comeback by Miami. Kudos to them. But I think the Raiders are now going to roll this momentum, and they're going to want to have payback to Miami from last year's loss. So I'm going to go Raiders.
Seahawks and Vikings.
Man, I want to take Minnesota, but they got to be deflated. I'm gonna go Minnesota. That's my upset of the week. That's got to be an upset. 0-2 versus 1-1. I'm gonna go.
It's a -1.5.
Yeah,
so
I'll go Minnesota.
I think it's probably that's okay. Bucks at Rams. Bucks -1.
Ooh, that's a good.
This
game.
is the game of the week.
This is the game of the week.
Sunday.
This is the game where the Rams show up. I think the Rams are gonna. They're going to create some havoc up the middle. I think they're going to get to Brady. Aaron Donald is not a good matchup for Tom Brady. I'll tell you that right now. He can't move left or right, and Aaron Donald's going to create.
If he's coming right up in his face now, he's not the tallest guy, but the pressure is going to be right in his face.
Yeah, I'm going to go Rams.
And I think, I think Brady just soaks up the LA sunshine and forgets he's too many Subway commercials. But I don't eat bread. Okay,
you better be ready. I'll tell you that.
Actually, the other games are pretty good too. Packers at the Niners.
I'm gonna go Niners. I think the Niners have a good defensive scheme. I'm gonna go Niners.
And Monday nighter is Philly at Dallas, which will be also a good one, I think.
It's a big game. 2 1-1 teams early on in the East. Whew, man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go. Is it Philly at Dallas?
Yeah,
I'll go Dallas. I think Dallas pulls out this win.
I'll take Dallas. They're -4. They can't possibly lose 2 games back to back at home against teams that they arguably should have beaten, right? All right, there's your picks for the week. Some good football on Sunday, starting at 4:30
for sure.
And the night game, and then Monday night game. Those are all games that are pretty good. The Vikings in Seattle is at 4:30 as well, so another good game too.
We're not going to get to. I want to talk a little bit about the Jays and their tight playoff race here with the Yanks, Sox. Two of those 3 teams are going to make the playoffs. Basically, it's really, really tight right now. 6 players have 20 home runs or more for the Jays. I'll name you 5. I want you to guess the 6th. So Simeon, Vlad, Bichette, Teoscar, and Gurriel have 20-plus homers, and there's a 6th guy. Can you name me the 6th guy?
Randall Grichuk.
Randall Grichuk, you got it. I thought you were going to get Springer. I thought I'd trick you there. So no, too good, kid. You're too good.
Too good.
Pretty impressive. So the Jays got to keep hammering. They're down 1-0 right now. So we'll just.
This must have been the Cup telling me that the game was starting.
Yeah, that must be it. Tampa's up 1-0, and the Jays are up to bat. So real quick, Red Blacks play this week on Wednesday, and then they play next Tuesday. For an organization that really has, rejuvenated its fan base by relying on like the party atmosphere in order to create length of stay and fan retention, does this hurt business to be playing in the middle of the week like this?
Well, I don't know if you heard or not, the Red Blacks have really decided to focus on the babysitters of Ottawa, and they thought that Tuesday nights and Wednesday night games would really encourage people to leave their kids at home and encourage babysitting services rather than bringing the kids to the game to enjoy something that they haven't been able to enjoy in a while and create new fans at a younger basis. Anyway, all that kind of stuff. They figured, we're going to go to the Babysitters Club and do Tuesday and Wednesdays. Come on.
I don't understand. Whether you get
I have no interest in that.
Schedule makers come out, you see those on this first schedule, you got to protest. You guys, what are we doing? I mean, I'm not going, and I'm a huge Red Blacks fan. I'm a huge Oseg fan, but I'm not going. It's Tuesday night. I got to work in the morning, and it's the whole idea is to have some wobbly pops and to enjoy yourself with your friends and stay out maybe a little bit later than you like to, and like that's the whole idea. Anyway, not a fan
It's
of the
not
Tuesday,
for the football.
Wednesday. No,
at this point.
Well,
like we've accepted that. Except we got the Steeler duck dodge,
quack,
whatever.
Quack quack
Dodges, quack quack coming in.
It'd be quack quack, and when he's throwing ducks to RJ Harris, I'll tell you. I mean, well, who knows, right? Maybe he comes out and starts slinging it, but we'll see what happens. NHL talk. I mean, the puck drops in 3 weeks. Are you any kind of excited for it?
Here's what I think about the hockey. If you think we're going to talk hockey over college football, you are sadly mistaken. Don't you dare talk hockey.
Well done, friend. Well don.
Okay, this is good. Shout out to Mr. Couture, who graciously took that bet with me. And his Alabama Crimson Tide beat my Florida Gators 31-29. Florida
game I watched.
An extra point off the first touchdown, ended up making us go for two. Poorly run play.
Terrible play.
The 2 point. It was a read option off the end. Emory Jones just held it too long, and they weren't able to get in, unfortunately. But I tell you, the game was pretty exciting. There was a couple calls there that I felt were very Alabama biased.
Yeah,
that kept the drive alive with a pass interference that was pretty shady, and then another one where the Florida guy was horse collared down, and they didn't call it, which would have kept Florida's drive alive. But I'm telling you, with Richardson on the bench, he's the Florida freshman quarterback wearing number 15, the legendary 15 of Tim Tebow. He's one of the most exciting players that Florida has. Pulled a hammy the last week, and instead of pushing it, they rested him and they gave Emory Jones the reins, who had a lot of question marks. But for this game, he really stepped out of his shell, I found. He managed the game pretty well. The second half, and actually after the first couple of drives, Todd Grantham and his defense, so the DC for Florida, has been getting ripped in the media for years at their defense. And I tell you, it started off shady, but that defense came to play pretty good, and they started making tackles when they needed to make it. And I tell you, they came to play. And so it is what it is. I lost the bet. So Chris had picked the black hat. He's going to be taking this one. But I'm hoping that, and Florida didn't go anywhere, didn't drop in the standings. And actually Alabama lost the first place vote. It went to Georgia after that game. I hope to see them again in the SEC championship game. If Florida maybe rides this confidence and says, you know what, we can play with just about anybody. If we can play with Bama, we can play with anybody.
Oh, so, totally.
Very exciting game, but that's kind of where that finished, unfortunately. So I did lose that bet. So congratulations to Chris Couture. The other notables for week 3. So for those who don't know, we're going to be working on finding Pierre a college football team. He messaged me. You said, I'm starting to drink the college football Kool-Aid. So I got some fun quizzes that will help you narrow down teams that might fit what you're looking for. And we'll put like a little bracket together. And basically, I'm just going to skew it all so that you become a Florida fan too. But anyway, it's regardless, I'll put it together.
Okay.
This one's got to mean that they scored, right?
They just scored on a Breivik Valera fielder's choice.
All right.
Gurriel comes in to score.
I'll take it. Okay, so week 3 notables, the ones that just happened. One of them, Michigan State, actually beat Miami, who was ranked number 24. So they're going to be off of the top 10. Again, one of the other games of the week was the Penn State Auburn. Was Penn State ranked number 10, beat Auburn ranked number 22. That was the whiteout game in Penn State. I watched it again. Jesse Luketa from Ottawa, number 40 for Penn State. Another monster game, was right in there, but Penn State came. And I tell you, that atmosphere was pretty crazy.
Memo to Penn State fans: clean up after yourselves. They showed a video this morning on it might have been ESPN of the stadium was just left in complete ruins.
Oh, really?
Empty bottles and dirt, and like it was just, come on, guys, clean after yourselves in Penn State. You're better than that.
All right, I'm just going to cross Penn State off of Pep's possibility list. That is out. All right. BYU ranked 23 upset Herm Edwards Arizona State team as well, which was one of the other notables. Now, moving into week 4, here's the games you got to watch. Now, if it's not going to be Florida Tennessee, then we're not friends anymore. But Florida Tennessee 7:00 on Saturday. Florida should win, but Tennessee always puts up a fight. This is a SEC divisional rival.
Not a fan of Tennessee, so you can scratch them off my list.
All right, perfect.
Right.
12:00 Notre Dame at Wisconsin. Notre Dame is ranked 12, Wisconsin 18. They're 18 because they lost to Penn State in game 1 of this season, but that game itself should be really good. So Notre Dame and Wisconsin at noon.
Slobber knocker.
Is that your new term? I'm just gonna have that slobber knocker on the thing. Anyway, Texas A&M number 7 at Arkansas number 16 is at 3:30. That's an SEC battle of two teams that are actually very good. Texas A&M is no joke, and Arkansas is really an up and coming team, and they're at 16. So anything can happen there.
What's Arkansas's war cry? Their pig suey. What do they do? Suey is ridiculous.
Something like that, yeah. Anyway, Arkansas is that. I'm sure my family is like, "What the hell is going on?" At 7 p.m., Nebraska at Michigan State. So Michigan State is now ranked in the top 25 at number 20 after beating Miami. So that's, I know you like Nebraska or had a thing for Nebraska at one point.
I prefer State, actually. Magic Johnson alma mater. I prefer Michigan State. That's where Magic Johnson went to.
All right, scratching off Nebraska. We are whittling this down, brother.
Please do.
Okay. And then 7:30 is West Virginia, not ranked, but at Oklahoma, number 4. Now, there's another kid from Ottawa, Akeem Mestador, is number 90, I believe, for West Virginia, having a great sophomore season. And Arch Manning, so Peyton and Eli's nephew, so their brother Cooper's kid, Arch Manning, has just recently committed to West Virginia as well.
Oh,
which is
awesome.
Interesting. Yeah, I heard that on actually, I heard that last night during Sunday night. What are we today? No, Monday Night Football, when Pat McAfee was on. They were talking about it, and McAfee's a West Virginia alumni, so he has that sort of connection. Yeah, that's all I got for college football. Again,
awesome.
We're right around the hour time. So, do you have anything to add?
I do.
What do you got?
I'm going to pick. I'm starting a new trend this week for the rest of the NFL season. I've got these beautiful laminated Topps football cards that I dug up from the vault, and I've been shuffling these throughout the whole NCAA conversation. I'm going to pick 5, and the 5 that I pick, I guarantee you, that team will win this weekend.
So
you ready?
Okay.
Here we go. Number 5. Oh, Chiefs fans. I got nice Derek Thomas. So you can book the Chiefs for a victory this weekend.
All right.
Again, I'm not looking here. I'm just randomly picking here. What do I got? Oh, dear. I'm going to put this one away.
What was it?
I picked the Bengal. David Klingler.
Hey, all right.
You know what? I'm just going to leave it here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is your version of tarot cards.
Yeah, this is it's exactly it. Jeff Hostetler for the Raiders. So Raiders, you got a victory this weekend. Okay, and we got number 4. Oh, this is going to be. Oh, you know what? I'm doing it. This is Rod Woodson. So the Steelers-Bengals game's a toss-up this weekend. Apparently, according to these cards. And last but not least, I'm not looking. We got Jim Harbaugh, Chicago Bears. There you have it. I'm going to keep these aside and see if Topps brings the heat next weekend.
All right. And for anybody who's watching live, I will edit that out when it goes onto the podcast if you want.
I'm really into this cards thing now. It's ridiculous. Like I'm a child.
Hey, it's all coming back.
It really is, eh?
I got guys that are buying, Tiger Woods rookie cards for the golf and different. Anyway, getting things rated and graded and whatever. It's investments for some of these guys.
Nostalgic.
There was something I was going to suggest, and I don't know what to do. So I got ththese prizes from the Wally Mathot golf tournament, and I'm not going to do anything with them. But I wasn't sure if it's something that people might want. I was like, is it something that we should, auction off or sell off and then donate the money for the Do It for Darren charities kind of thing? Again, they're not big ticket items, but like they're like, like a nice, Wally Methot Gong Show hat. You know what I mean? Which is what? I don't know, $40 or something like that you would normally.
Potentially, yeah. Is it a snapback?
It's a snapback. Yeah.
That thing's 40 easily. Yeah.
A John Tavares.
That's $10. That's $10 all day, every day, kid.
I mean, a Sens fan might want to buy it and just burn it. I don't know.
Yeah. Like a voodoo doll. Yeah. Put some needles in it. Put that one away. That's not for.
And then I got Shawn Michaels WrestleMania. It looks like he's got two hands that are giving you the bird, but that's actually where they snap into his wrist, I guess.
Cool. I'll just buy that one.
Anyway, I think maybe it's just better. I'll just donate money to the thing, but it's always that one that comes up too.
That's awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Anyway. On that note, I think that's going to be it for us. We're going to go out to a band that I've seen multiple times, willingly or not, but I went with the Big Pops there, the old football star. But the song is for Chris Couture because Alabama won. But at the same time, Skynyrd is the band. They're from Jacksonville, Florida, and they are, quote, die-hard University of Florida football fans. So it's kind of 6 and 1, half a dozen the other. You'll get the Sweet Home Alabama, but otherwise it's from a group that loves the Florida Gators. On that note, we are getting out of here. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate you, my friend. And I can't wait to do it next week.
Okay, sounds good. Be safe.
Big wheels keep on turning, carry me home to Smackin, singing songs about the Southland. I miss Alabama once again, and I think it's the same. Yes. Well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her. Well, I heard O'Neal put it down. Well, I hope Neil Young will remember. I said that man don't need him around anyhow. Sweet home Alabama, where the skies are blue. Sweet home Alabama.